Hi, and welcome back to Between the Benches, your source for all hockey news. My name is Austin,
And my name is JJ.
and today we're going to be going over the Leafs and Blue Jackets series for the play-in for the Stanley Cup. We're going to go over the team stats, the players, a couple of tidbits to give you guys a little more information on who to root for, and our guests for the series. So to start off with the Columbus Blue Jackets, they played 70 games this year. They had a record of 33 wins, 22 losses, and 15 overtime losses, putting them 14th in the league. They had a -7 goal differential, which isn't too great. It left them around 23rd in the league. And they had a 16.4% power play, which put them at 27th. So not really good on the power play. But their penalty kill, however, certainly makes up for that. 81.7%, which has them 12th. This is pretty reflective of their play, which is even more reflective of their coach, John Tortorella, who plays that really hard-nosed hockey, shut down, and doesn't score a lot of goals.
Well, and the Leafs, on that hand, are the complete opposite. They score lots of goals and let in more. But for the Leafs, they played the same amount of games as the Blue Jackets with 70. The record was 36, 25, and 9. They were 13th in the league, so one ahead of Columbus overall. Their goal difference was plus 11, which was 12th in the league. Again, that's a lot of high-scoring games going on in Toronto for sure. Their power play was 23.1% successful, which was 5th in the league, so on the complete opposite end of the standings to the Blue Jackets. Their penalty kill was 77.7, which is 27th, so they got to get that up if they're planning to win any playoff games. And their coach was Sheldon Keefe, so the team transitioned from Mike Babcock to the new ownership or new coach, and he basically revived them, and they were playing a lot better under his management.
Yeah, definitely both coaches are seen as kind of a player coaches, but at opposite sides of the spectrum. Sheldon
Sure.
Keefe really being a happy-go-lucky guy, where John Tortorella is a bit harder on the players to get what he wants. But nonetheless, he'll certainly be an interesting matchup in that regard. And now we're going to go to the player stats.
So, jumping right on into the Leaf stats, for goals, Matthews led the way with 47 goals this year, which is pretty incredible, especially including a shortened year. With assists, Marner led the way with 51 assists this year. And for points, Matthews had 80 in 70 games, so more than a point per game player on the team, and one of the top goal scoring players in the league for Toronto. So, incredible offense right there. We all knew that. There was no hidden secret there. It's the defense that's going to be a problem. Heading on to goalie stats, Frederik Andersen carried the Leafs for majority of the year with 52 games played. He had a 2.85 goals against average, and his save percentage was .909, which playing 52 games and with Morgan Rielly out for 20 plus games this year is definitely going to lower the save percentage of Andersen, and he's going to let in more goals. So we have to see if the Leafs can make that change with Morgan Rielly in the lineup and playing tighter defense in the playoffs.
When we switch over to the Blue Jacket stats, there's a bit of a drop-off for sure after the Leafs. Bjorkstrand only had 21 goals, being their goal leader. That's pretty good for Bjorkstrand. He's really coming out as an offensive player and helping the Blue Jackets out a lot there. When we look at their assists, Dubois led the way with 31. Being their number one center, that's not too surprising, and he really brings a physical edge too that helps. And then their point total leader is also Dubois with 49. So definitely a bit of a drop-off from the Leafs. Matthews only being 2 goals behind their complete total point leader. But we also got to remember when we talk about the Blue Jackets that they just had that huge injury bug, and a lot of guys missed big chunks of the season and really hurt the overall team. When we look at the goalie stats, Columbus had a bit of a starter A, starter B situation with Merzelkins and Korpisalo, but I definitely decided to choose Elvis for this. I just believe that this young gun can really help them out in the playoff race against the Leafs, and when we look at his stats, it reflects that. In 33 games played, he had a 2.35 goals against average, which is just fantastic for a young goalie, and a save percentage of a .923. And he really won the hearts of Columbus as well as their captain and all the players. And I think that they're going to go with this emotional goalie who can really lead the way into the playoffs and just have fun with it. All right, and now we're going to hop over to who we believe are the most important players to watch for this series.
So for the players to watch for the Leafs, for the All-Star, I chose Austin Matthews. I mean, those 80 points in 70 games speak for itself, but 47 goals in 70 games is quite incredible. I definitely think if someone's going to steal the show for the Leafs, it's going to be Austin Matthews. For something to prove, I put Kerfoot. He came over instead of Kadri. Big shoes to fill, and especially if the rumors are true and Tavares is going to move up to the first line, which we didn't see much of in the exhibition game against Montreal. He could be fighting for that second line center slot, so definitely lots to prove for Kerfoot, especially in such a big market. For rebound player, I put Tyson Barrie. The reason I put Barrie is because he was an all-star the last couple of years, but unfortunately this year did have a bit of a slump offensively. So I hopefully he can rebound for the Leafs in the playoffs and carry off where he left off with years past. For the playoff warrior, I put Jake Muzzin. He's done it before. He's won the cup. And I believe this guy's going to battle hard and prove he's still got some things left in him.
Absolutely. Before you get to your young gun, I just want to ask you, picking Matthews as the star, do you think, I know this was a bit of a conversation last year, but this year especially, do you think that he took over that number one true center role from Tavares as the best offensive dynamo for the Leafs?
It's definitely, those are two fantastic players, so it's hard to say that he's taken over. With this year, his stats were better than Tavares. Tavares did miss some games to injuries, but at the same time, Tavares wasn't playing with Marner this year, which seemed to help more last year. So not yet, but I'm going to say he's slowly stepping into that role. And yes, for a young gun to watch, I put Robertson. He had 55 goals in 46 games in the OHL, which is nothing to shrug off. And now he has a third-line spot on the Maple Leafs roster. So that's definitely going to be exciting to watch this young forward come in and hopefully get some goals for the Leafs.
Yeah, absolutely. For my picks for the Blue Jackets, I went a bit off the board with a couple of them. For the star player, I picked Seth Jones. He's kind of been that anchor on the blue line, really been a number one defender in the league. Doesn't get a lot of credit because he does play for the Columbus Blue Jackets, and they're not a big market team, but he's just a fantastic player all around. Great offensively, great defensively. For something to prove, I picked Alex Wenberg. He was kind of drafted to be that number two center behind Dubois, like a guy that you can really count on. He can play first line if you want him to. And this year he kind of staggered a bit in points, so I'm thinking that this playoff will be a great time to show that he can, hold his own line, carry his wingers, and really be that bona fide number two center. When I go for rebound player, I pick Cam Atkinson. He only scored 12 goals this year, which is incredibly low for him, but we know he can be an elite sniper in the league. And I feel that the pressure of this series against one of the biggest markets, as well as people really shrugging them off, I think that Cam Atkinson will really light it up for them. For playoff warrior, I picked Nick Foligno, the heart and soul of this team, wears the C, huge captain, really brings the team together. He carries the message of Tortorella. Everyone there respects him, and I think if there's any player in the entire NHL that's going to leave every single last breath of them on the ice, it's definitely going to be Foligno. For the young gun to watch, I picked Alexandre Texier. I know that he had played a full year this year, and he technically is kind of not a rookie as he played last year in the playoffs, but I just think that he's still young. He did so well in the playoffs last year, and he really had a bit of an offseason this year, but he's such a fun and strong young player to watch. And the fact that Tortorella has faith in him being so young in the NHL really speaks volumes to how great of a player he is. And right now we're going to hop over to our picks and predictions for the series.
Jumping into our predictions, I predict that the Leafs will win in 4 games. I do think it'll be a closer series than the 4 games will tell. I believe there will be a overtime in there or a very close game that involves an empty netter. But I do believe Frederik Andersen is going to steal the show in net, and Matthews is going to get a couple lucky ones for the Leafs, which will give them the push.
Absolutely. And for my take, I have the Blue Jackets winning in 3. I think they're going to sweep the series. They just play such a bang and crash physical game. They're going to get under the skins of all the Leafs players. They're going to really get them agitated, not going to get their offense going. They're going to be able to kill penalties really effectively. And last year when we watched them play against a team with high expectation, the Columbus Blue Jackets thrived in that underdog role for sure. And we're looking this year, they lost 4 of their star players. They're even more underdogs. They're playing the biggest market in the world for hockey. So I just think Tortorella really feeds off that kind of role. And with these young and hungry players and guys like Nick Foligno and Cam Atkinson who are really just buying into the system, I just see the Blue Jackets taking it to the Leafs, pushing them in 3, and then moving on to the next round real quick.
Which brings up the question, what's going to win a playoff series? Defense or pure offense?
That's an excellent question. I wonder, for most series, I think offense will really be the key determiner as most teams are equally matched in defense. But I think in this series, it's definitely going to be the grit of Columbus and not just plain strong defense, but every play they're going to finish their checks. Every play they're going to knock a guy over. Every play they're going to pepper, Frederik Andersen either with shots or crashing the nets and really just get into the Leafs' head with that.
So let's see if Columbus has another Cinderella year in them.
Yeah, I think that, they may not go all the way, but I think they can make a strong push. I know they want to get back at getting knocked out last year, and they're really going to be pushing for that playoff spot. But I think that the Leafs are really going to have, their hands tied. My question for you is, if the Leafs do lose, is there going to be big changes coming to the team?
I think you do have to change the general manager at this point. He's brought in the big guy in Tavares. He's brought in the team that he wants out on the ice. And if it doesn't work this year, that's another season without the Leafs being successful in the postseason. I think there has to be changes.
Well, there you hear. Let us know what you guys think in the comments down below. Like and subscribe. Let us know if you think the Leafs are going to take it, if Columbus is going to take it, is Tortorella going to jump into the other team's dressing room again? Everything and all, thank you for coming by, and please subscribe to Between the Benches.